Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm going to walk you through the basics of how AI is and will continue to make survey reporting 50 to 500 times faster. It was quite shocking when I was putting this webinar together to see just how quickly AI had changed things. As usual, I'm demonstrating from within Displayr. Sorry, Q users, all this tech requires Displayr. We'll start with a quick overview of how AI in general is making things faster. Then we're going to look at how we can delegate analysis and reporting work to an agent. Finally, we're going to be the human in the loop, checking and correcting the agent's work. As a species, we started inventing things around about 3 billion years ago. The first useful AI starts around 1965 with expert systems, and these use software to apply if-then rules. We've got lots of these built into Displayr, so there's more than 70-odd statistical tests built into Displayr, and Displayr goes, if the data is of this type, and it has a way to apply this rule. So that's what an expert system is. 10 years after the rule-based expert systems came in, the statistical modelling started. And it started with SPSS and SAS and their regression features in 1975 and 76 respectively. The key thing about the statistical modelling world is the kind of workflow was that as a user, you'd have to work out for a specific problem what data you needed to use. Then you'd choose an algorithm, for example, ordinary least squares regression, and then make a whole lot of assumptions in terms of linearity and normality and check and test them. And that required a high level of expertise. And 20 years after this came machine learning, and the barrier of expertise dropped massively because the whole problem of making and testing assumptions ceased to be an issue with the really good models that came about. So, for example, support vector machines, random forest, neural networks, these were all able to just be chucked at any problem without worrying too much about things like normality and linearity. So that was a good step forward. And in 2018 comes what most people think of when we talk about AI, which is the foundation models. And the innovation here was that rather than having data for a specific problem, you'd instead get all the data in the world of a certain type, such as all the world's text, and then train a model on all of it. And then it turns out they can answer just about any question in that domain. And this led to a revolution in terms of the use of AI. It ceased to be a tool just for experts, and now literally billions of people are using it. And in 2023, the first agents started to appear. These are tools where you can set a goal, constraints, and high-level workflows, hook it up to a foundation model, and then the agent is able to perceive its environment, make plans, perform acts designed to fulfill its goals. I'm going to show you a nice example of that later. Coming soon, self-improving agents. These are ones where we set goals and safety rails, and they on their own measure their performance, rewrite their code, create sub-agents. And then the last step that we can forecast with some confidence is down collections or societies of AI agents. These will negotiate, share information between each other and allocate resources. What remains to be seen, though, is whether they're going to be used by billions of people or indeed maybe just the AI overlords. Times ahead. Now, when we think about an agent, what most of us want is an autonomous agent. We want something that can just do it all for us. Now, agents today are already much faster than humans, and I'll show you an example of this, but you already know this. When you interact with any chat bot and it figure stuff out for you, it's so much faster than the 3-hour wait you'd spend on the call. And the big revolution that's really started to kick in this year is for some problems, the agents are providing better quality than graduates. And so we have here a 4-point scale. On the far left, we can barely see it, is the student at school. Then we have the recent graduate from university or college, the entry-level worker for most market research roles. Then we've got somebody who's in their career, they're know what they're doing. And finally, you got the old experts, people like me. Now, where we are today is the agents are, as I'm going to show you, for some problems already better than the entry-level graduates. Another area where they're known to be quite a lot better now is for a lot of support kind of problems. So when should we use AI? Three things need to be in place. It's got to be easy to spot errors, it's got to be easy to correct errors, and it's got to be faster to use AI. That's the sweet spot. So I'm going to show you what an agent can do. We're going to delegate some work to an agent. But before we do it, let me explain the problem we've got. Last time I presented this case study, I walked through it how in 40 minutes I, an expert, could analyze it. I'll give you a moment to read the concept test. So we did a survey of 300 people. We asked them some standard concept testing questions, collected all of the data. As I said, I've shown people how in a previous webinar you can get the answers in 40 minutes. Let's do it much faster than that using the AI agent. So we're in Displayr now. We're going to choose a new document. I am going to choose one with my Displayr branding. This is the workflow. We add data. I'm using an SPSS data file, just as in Displayr and another product queue in general. The better the quality of the data file, the easier the job for the agent, because it's just got more information in it and it's cleaner. Now, the new option. I'm going to choose research agent. You'll see it's got beta. We're still trying to iron out some bugs, so we look forward to any feedback you have. Let's get it going. So it's going to start by scanning through the data, trying to work out what it thinks we were trying to achieve with the survey. And it's doing this with a couple of reasons. One is just to figure some stuff out for itself. The other thing it's trying to do, though, is it's going to use it to generate a description of what we think the goals are. And the idea is that we edit it and give it more accurate information. So now, some people, they don't want to fill this in. They just go, tell me what's interesting. And that's really not how you should manage somebody. When you're managing an agent, just like a human being, the more context you give them, the better the chance they have of being successful. And so with the research questions, it's come up with these fairly general ones, but we know usually you've got like some cutoff we're trying to get to with a concept test. So I'm being quite specific here, and really the thing I want to know, rather than the purchase intent, what seems to explain the purchase intent? Are there things that can be tweaked to improve it? And there's some other questions which I'm happy to answer. Well, yeah, all right. So that's a fairly good research objective. Now, in truth, if you gave this to a graduate and said, go forth on their first day in your office, little chance of success. But as I said, the AI agent is better than a recent graduate. So it was quickly data and trying to work out which data was relevant to answering that question. And the reason it's showing us this, rather than just going straight into the report, and I'll talk about this a bit more later, is that when working with AI and market research, we've got a bit of a challenge, which is our clients are looking for us to give correct answers. They're not okay for us to be 80% correct and super fast. They're after super fast and 100% correct. And so the workflow with working with an agent needs to always be check and correct. Now here the agent thinks I'm interested in the duration of the questionnaire, which I'm not, so I'm going to deselect that. And now we're going. So the agent is doing its thing. What's its thing? It's generating an analysis plan based on the information that I gave at the sample description, the background, the research questions, and also on the selected data. When it's an analysis plan, it's literally kind of going across this table by this table. Then it's running these tables and it's calculating statistical significance. Then it's reading the tables. It's trying to figure out what patterns it can see. It's drawing conclusions from each table. It's then organizing these conclusions into themes. It's evaluating the research questions against those themes. It's attempting to draw conclusions. If we've asked it for recommendations, it's coming up with the recommendations. Then it's going to start writing a report, which you can see it's done now. In the report, it's putting together a whole lot of conclusions for me. And it's creating pages with charts and tables if appropriate. All right, so I'll give you a moment to read what our little AI has done. It's really a big, magnificent AI. Now we can follow these through. Click the links. And it's taking us to create a chart on its own. And I'll give you a chance to read the interpretation. So it's pretty remarkable, I think. Just like with a good graduate, it's written a report for us, but we have the job of checking and correcting it. And the jargon that's used for this at the moment in AI is we're the human in the loop. For checking it, there's a few things we want to do. We'll want to clean and tidy the data, and ideally we would have done that before getting the research agent to do something. And yes, we're working on automating this. An agent can do this too. You want to review each chart. Does the commentary match the data? And you probably on bigger studies would want to work in batches. So because this concept test was short, I threw all the data at the AI. But let's say I had a usage and attitude survey. I might first get it to run all the brand awareness data, then the general brand health data, then the brand association data, then the usage data, and then get it to pull all of that together. Correcting, where you can fix the data. You can improve the chart, and I'll show you in a second. You can give the research agent templates you want to use, or you can do the formatting via the page master, and you want to update your text. You can manually edit it, or as I'll show you, we can use the AI to automatically rewrite things. Now, when we look into the results and the report in a little more detail, you'll see that the research agent is choosing from these 10 different ways of displaying the data. And it looks at the type of the data to work out which is appropriate. Now, the way that you can customize this is you can use the Save As Template feature in Displayr. And let's say that you didn't like this pie chart and you don't like pie charts and you just want to do a bar chart. You would change one of the pie charts to a bar chart. You right click and you go Save As Template. And if you type in this name, it then means next time the research agent runs, it will reuse your chart with whatever formatting you have applied. So let's actually be the human in the loop. So I've got a title page, the background, this is the context we provided. This is kind of cool, right? We're giving the same prompt to the AI as we need in our report. We've got the table, we've got the page of all the summary. Now, sometimes this will go over multiple pages. Here it's squeezed it into one, hasn't succeeded that well, but this could have done this over 10 pages as well, depending on how much information we've given it. Now, we can't really check this without reading the inputs. Okay. So here we have a case where our graduate, our little research agent, has not, I think, been as awesome as I would like. It's gone with the word cloud and it's read through all the text responses and had some key points. We can do better than that. The AI agent can't do better than that, but soon we'll be able to. So I'm going to just get rid of goodbye. Don't care about that. And I'll get rid of this placeholder as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what do I particularly like? I'm going to find that data here, and I'm going to tell it that I want to perform text categorization. There's a whole other webinar on text categorization if you want to go into the details of this. You can do a lot here. You can edit how many themes it creates, what those themes are, and then I'm classifying the data into the themes. But I'm just going quick and easy because my point here is just to show you how you can customize or how you can work with the research agent to make it even better. All right, so now I've turned this into a table. Let us choose my preferred visualization, and I have a template that I'm going to apply. I don't know why, but I really like this purple bar chart. Okay, now I can customize this. Now, in this case here, I'm going to customize a little bit more. I don't need the axis on the y-axis, the title on the y-axis, because it's already sitting here. Right, so it's gone. Now, if I wanted to, as I said, I could apply save as template, give it one of those names that I mentioned before, and then the AI agent would use it going forward. But I need it to provide an updated interpretation for me. So I'm just going to say interpret data, and it will look at whatever data is on that page. It's remembered the prompt from before, but I could customize it if I want to tell it something specific for this case. So we've updated it. Now, the next thing we might want to do here, I'm going to make it even more interesting. Let's go down to this next one here. It's the same. Now, I could do that same process here. Here I've got my purchase intent. Now, in this case here, I've got purchase intent, and I've got a second question of priced purchase intent. Now, the research agent is not quite as good a researcher as me, so it doesn't know that the reason we do priced versus unpriced purchase intent in a concept test is because we want to compare them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the data from the unpriced purchase intent. I'll put it on this page here. Well, I'm not sure what I've done there, but I seem to have failed. I don't know what I did there. I'm going to drag it onto the page again. So I can build up completely new analyses from scratch, right? The fact that the research agent didn't do it this way doesn't matter. I can do anything I want. Oops, rather than do that, I will apply my template. Get my good friend purple bar into play. I'm going to apply the template here as well. Okay, and I see what happened. I typed over the same chart twice, so I'm then going to find purchase intent. I'm just going to rename it so it's easy to use. Now I'll put little text boxes on. I'm going to edit the comments. Oops. And I'm going to make the point that it's not smart enough to make, but maybe it would have given it all the data, which is that unpriced purchase intent. Okay, so these are the conclusions I've got. Now, we could go through and keep customizing, editing the report as much as we wanted. Let's make these a bit bolder. Now, obviously, the text at the beginning might not be correct anymore due to the update. Now, we could manually edit it, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete it. And then I'm going to select all of the data that we have here. I'm just going to right click and I'm going to go interpret data. And now it's going to go through that whole process again but it's not going to create the crosstabs. Now it's just going through and it's reading all the commentary that I provided and all the tables and saying, okay, what are my conclusions going to be now? Now this can take a little, super fast today. All right, and it's done something quite interesting as well. So before it gave me one page, here it's decided it needs to fit it into multiple pages. And so we can follow each of the links. Okay, and so we've now got a different report. We could go through and edit that however we wanted. Now, next stage here could be send this off to PowerPoint. Some of you will go, oh, will they be editable? Well, if I want them to be editable, I can, but then I've got a smaller range of types of things I can do, because in case you're not familiar, Displayr's got many more visualization types than PowerPoint, right? So if you choose editable, often they will look a bit different to what you intended, but I could go PowerPoint, Microsoft Chart, now it will be editable. And if I want to make them all editable, I just create templates, save it as template like I showed before. Anyway, so I'm going to go export report to PowerPoint. And you can see this slide has come through exactly as we wanted. And you can confirm here that it's entirely editable PowerPoint. But of course, it's 2025, so we don't have to go with PowerPoint. Maybe we want to create interactive dashboard. Let's do that. Find the... Oh, I should have deleted this slide. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose these two charts. And for those of you who aren't Displayr users, we can choose this little option here called List Box Filters. And it's going to now add some filters onto the page. So now we're going to build up a little dashboard for our clients. Let's move these things to the right and let's make them the same size. And obviously I could spend some more time tidying this all up quite a lot, but it gets a bit boring for you guys to watch. Okay, so these charts are dynamic, which means if I publish them and share the link with the client, they can then do their own exploration. I don't have to run reports manually, but this text isn't updating. So let's make it automatically update. That is pretty cool. So watch this. Let's filter it just to look at what the younger people think. So this is a great opportunity for self-service because we've now the sample size descriptions have updated. We can see the sample size. It's telling us what the conclusions are. If I wanted to, I could give it some additional information over here in the prompt. So here it's using the prompt from before. I could tell it only look at the price, purchase intent, or whatever, and it would then dynamically do that. So share, publish, off dashboard, and we're off to the races. So we've gone through how AI is making everything faster. I delegated report writing to an agent, and gosh, wasn't it fast? And then our responsibility as a human being, the human in the loop, was to check and correct the work of the agent, just like you would do with a junior researcher, right? It's exactly the same process. Some junior researchers make some mistakes. You don't know what mistakes. AI also makes mistakes. You don't know what mistakes. That's why you have to check. The thing that I've hopefully communicated to you effectively is while it's written the whole report, everything is editable, reviewable, checkable, correctable. So that's what we think is the good workflow.